So now for the final part of sketching Ravindra Jadeja, our main focus will be on the remaining parts of clothes and the right hand, that the reference picture that I am using. I was taking the screenshot of the reference picture from this profile from Instagram. So if you want to see the reference picture, you can see from this reference picture on his profile from Instagram. You can see also from there. You can take screenshot, or you can also use this method of grid method, and you can also download it from my video and crop it. So just take screenshot from my video also, or you can also go for his profile. Now for making remaining part of clothes, as we all see on the previous parts, that for using clothes or making clothes as much as realistic as you want, just make the darker parts first, then go for medium length charcoal pencil and blend it using blending stumps. Don't use blending stumps on the face or any skin textures, because blending stumps are a little bit more darker, or if you are using your blending stumps without sharpening them or rubbing or sharing it on the previous parts or any other sketches, those are a little bit more dark, or your blending stumps are a little bit more darker if you are using continuously or if you are not sharpening them. So if you are using a blending stumps on skin texture, just sharpen them first and then you can use it on skin texture. But I will highly recommend that use just smaller and medium one makeup brush also, or you can also use blending stumps which are smallest one, which are the pointed, and the second one don't use the hardest, which are the biggest one or the second biggest one. Don't use those two bigger blending stumps on the skin texture. You can use those two bigger ones on the clothes or any other parts, that your ornaments or clothes or anything that your reference picture is wearing. Use those bigger ones on clothes or any other parts. Don't use those two bigger blending stumps on skin textures. Now as you can see that the right side of a shoulder or clothes on the right hand side of shoulder is looking totally beautiful. So for making those look totally realistic or more beautiful, make a layer by layer thing, or use a soft charcoal pencil. The technique that I use while making the clothes is that I use soft charcoal pencil first and darken all the parts which are most darker or more blackish, and then blending it using a makeup brush, or you can also use a blending stump for making those smaller parts which are more lighted. And when you will blend the softer charcoal pencil, it will give you totally beautiful look. Now focus on the parts which are more darker. You can also use the technique which is first use soft charcoal pencil and then blend it or using a medium charcoal pencil. But most of the artists use charcoal pencils or graphite charcoal powders and use their makeup brushes and just make a base layer, and then finally for the second layer they use soft charcoal pencil. That technique is also useful and that technique is also beautiful technique, but I use the soft charcoal pencil technique. Both techniques are useful and both techniques are easy to use. But the main thing about charcoal pencil is that if you want to give details in charcoal pencil, it is not easily, or if you are a beginner or intermediate artist, I will recommend you to don't use charcoal pencils directly. Make 2 or 3 or 10 to 15 sketches first using charcoal pencils and then go for finally your realistic sketches. But for the making or the skin texture, like the right hand of the Ravindra Jadeja from the reference picture, right hand, it is more highlighted or more light is coming on those parts of the hand. So for making those parts little bit more highlighted, just use 2B pencil as a base layer. And there are little bit more tattoos also which are totally beautiful looking on his hands. So if you want to make it visible using tattoos, you have to use 5B or 4B pencils for those tattoos only. But if you can see from the reference picture that the upper part of the hand is totally white, but no skin texture or no skin color of anyone in this world is totally white. So you have to give more shadows to the other parts, so that the highlighted part, which is looking totally white, looks like a 2B pencil or little bit HB pencil. So use those 2B pencil as a base layer, then use 3B pencil for the only parts which are more detailed or darker on the hands, just like tattoos and the downside part of the hand. So for finally blending those both parts using earbuds, or for the main part of the tattoo is that those are more details or detailed part of the tattoos, so blending those parts is little bit more tougher as compared to any other parts, because there are smaller linings, and if you want to blend those lines, it is more tougher as compared to any other skin textures or cloth textures. So for blending those smaller parts of tattoos, use the smallest blending stump, which is the pointed one. Or if your blending stump, the smallest blending stump is not sharpened, use blades, sharp it, and then use it on those tattoos part. Then finally, after blending it, just darken the parts which are most blackish or more darker as compared to any other parts of the tattoos using 5B pencil, so that it looks totally beautiful. Now as you can see, the downside part of the tattoo is more darker as compared to upside part of the tattoos. So make it looking more beautiful or more realistic as you want, as we want. So I have used a 2B pencil for a base layer and made those darker parts, and I applied more pressure of 2B pencil to the parts which are tattoos or darker parts. Then I have not used a outline method that most of the artists use, that they make outlines and then they blend it, but the most of the parts of the hairs or skin textures or any part, if you will focus on your skin texture or any other parts of your body, there is no outlines. So if you will use your pointed sharpened pencil and make outlines, and if you will apply more pressure, or suddenly your pencil or any other parts just break, or if you will apply more pressure to the outlines and if you want to blend it with your skin texture or clothes, it will not be blended easily. And even if you will want to erase those parts, they will remain their dented parts on your drawing paper. So I will recommend that while blending your 2B or a base layer, just apply a little bit more pressure to the parts which are more shadowed. Or what I mean about more shadowed is that if you will focus on the downside part of the hand, it is more darker, and the remaining part of the tattoo is more darker also. So darkening those parts, apply more pressure using 2B pencil so that you can see more details, so that you can apply 3B and 4B pencil to more darker parts. If you will blend every part of 2B pencil, you will not be able to apply more details to your sketches. Or if you are using a grid method, the lines will be lost or erased as you have blended the every part of the hands. So just make smaller outlines, or you can also use the method of applying pressure on the base layer as I told you before. Use that method also. And the remaining part, if you will focus that the downside part of the hand is little bit more darker, use 2B pencil. Now for making the downside part of the clothes, which is the jacket that is wearing, it is totally black, but there are smaller buttons and smaller parts which are more highlighted. So as I told you before, that there is a technique, two type of techniques. Use first base layer as a charcoal powder, then just blend those darker parts. But I am using a soft charcoal pencil and darkening the darker parts, and I will blend it using a blending stumps so that it will give me more darker look and the highlighted look also, both on the same time. Now for making the part or the middle part, which is the jersey that is wearing inside the jacket, it is more detailed. Or what I mean about saying more detailed is that there are smaller line parts, and if you will lose patience while making those smaller parts, it will look totally weird, because we had patience for making those hairs, skin texture and any other parts. But if you lose patience while making those smaller details of your jacket, of the reference picture's jacket or the jersey, the drawing will look totally weird. so give more details or more time to your sketches. Using a makeup brush, you can give highlighted, or what I mean by highlighted is that while using a makeup brush for downsiding or blending the parts of skin texture, it will look totally even on every parts. So use a charcoal pencil on skin texture is not recommended by me. So after making those smaller details, just use graphite pencil for making those totally detailed part, because if you will use charcoal pencil or on the graphite pencil, it will not be easily erasable, or if you will use those both pencils at the same time, you will not have more and more details to your sketches. So I will recommend you to use a charcoal pencil only on clothes, ornaments or any other hairs parts which are the more darker parts. Just don't use charcoal pencil on skin textures. Have patience while sketching so that it look more and more beautiful. So that was all for this tutorial. If you have learned something from this video, subscribe and drop a like. And comment down your question and queries regarding this tutorial. Meanwhile, take care of your loved ones too. Have an artistic day. Tattoos.